Finally, we're going to try and prove whether our parallelogram is a rectangle, rhombus, or square on a coordinate plane. So we are specifically going to focus on the diagonals in these problems. Remember, if the diagonals were congruent, that showed a rectangle. If the diagonals are perpendicular, that was a rhombus. And if it was both, then it was a square. So that's why we're going to focus specifically on the diagonals, which means that if I want to show congruence, I need distance. If I want to show perpendicular, I need slope. And again, I'm just going to list out what the distances and the slopes are going to be in this case. But you do need to show two distances and you do need to show two slopes. Because while you're proving that it's one shape, you're disproving that it is the other shapes at the same time. Okay, so looking at our diagonals, get rid of all of this information. One of the diagonals is JL. The other diagonal is KM. I need both a distance and a slope of each. For JL, remember your distance formula. I'll write that out as well. x2 minus x1 squared and y2 minus y1. That's your distance formula. Your distance of JL is square root of 272. And your distance of KM would be square root of 68. Notice how your distances are different, which means then that we can throw out a couple options. We can throw out the idea of a rectangle because the distances aren't equal. And we can throw out the idea of a square because if it's not a rectangle, it's not a square. Which means then that we're trying to show that this is a rhombus. So next we're going to find the slopes. Your slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Your slope of JL is going to be 1/4. And your slope of KM is going to be -4. Notice that these are opposite reciprocal slopes. And if they are opposite reciprocal slopes, that means you have perpendicular lines. And therefore, it is a rhombus. So we're going to say it's a rhombus because now we need to name the property that we just showed. We know that the diagonals are perpendicular. But not congruent. So when you say the diagonals are perpendicular, you're telling me that it's a rhombus. But when you say but not congruent, you're throwing out the idea of a rectangle and a square at the same time.